The Wheel of Time has been officially cancelled. The Wheel of Time. After 3 seasons of low-stakes pacing, high-budget blandness, and character arcs so confusing you think they were generated by ChatGPT. Fantasy fans everywhere are breathing a sigh of relief. Not because they hate the Wheel of Time, quite the opposite, they love it. That's the problem. The show misunderstood the source material in such an ambitious, almost performance art way that it started to feel like an experiment. How far can we drift from the tone, depth, and characters of Robert Jordan's beloved series before even the optimistic fans give up? 3 seasons. That was the answer. The wheel turned, the budget burned, and another streaming platform, epic fantasy, bites the dust. So let's start with the obvious. The Wheel of Time. And yes, I think that is the worst title for it, because going by the pacing, the weight of time would probably be better. Didn't fail because of its cast. It didn't fail because of its budget. Or some of the production team's clear enthusiasm. It failed because it was hollow. Shiny, expensive, content for content's sake, hollow. Watching it felt like walking through an IKEA showroom of epic fantasy. All the set dressings were there, swords, cloaks, magical glowing things, vaguely Gallic sounding words, but none of it was lived in. None of it breathed, nothing felt real, everything was too shiny and new. It was as if someone had run the books through a machine algorithm learning program trained on other fantasy adaptation. Remove all the nuance, and then add a slow-mo mid-fight scene just to be safe. I mean, let's take a look at Matt as a study case. One of the most beloved characters in fantasy literature. He's charming, roguish, reluctant hero with layers of humour and trauma and growth. In the show, he's either absent, confused, or inexplicably miserable. And then he changed actors and sort of turned into a different guy entirely. Just vibes, no arc. And let's not even get started on the whole White Tower subplot, which had the pacing of a BBC drama and the visual tone of a perfume commercial. It's not just this show. We're in this weird era of what I like to call algorithmic epic fantasy. The Witcher, Wheel of Time, Rings of Power. Big streaming platforms greenlight massive genre projects. Throw 100 million at the first season, hire a writer who once read about the book on a Wikipedia page, and hope it lands with a target demographic whose main qualification is, I like swords, and I'm shipping these two. Probably. This leads to shows that look great in trailers but absolutely collapse when they try to carry a narrative. We end up with entire episodes of people walking through mountains looking important. We get lore dumps delivered via dream sequences and exposition. We get grimaces, so many grimaces. The facial expression budget alone could honestly just fund a full practical effects suite for that show at this point. But the worst of all, we get the illusion of storytelling rather than storytelling itself. Amazon didn't adapt the Wheel of Time, they adapted the idea of adapting the Wheel of Time, if that makes sense. And yeah, Sony's involved, but business decisions. Now that Amazon called it a day, now that the Wheel of Time rests in peace, to be forgotten, it's time to have a conversation, a hard one. Yes, I'm talking about Rings of Power, the billion-dollar Tolkien prequel that somehow manages to feel both overstuffed and underdeveloped at the same time. Look, I don't say this lightly, but Rings of Power has the emotional depth for tourist brochure and the pacing of a 6-hour elevator ride. You get Galadriel doing underwater flips like she's auditioning for Middle-earth's Got Talent, and entire episodes dedicated to discussions about boats. I'm not asking for Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings again, that ship sailed. On a very well-lit CGI ocean. Come on, those special effects are stunning. But I'm asking for anyone to approach these properties with something other than a spreadsheet and a focus group report. Just once, I want to see a fantasy adaptation where the creators are allowed to be weird, where the characters get ugly and scared and full of contradictions, where the magic system isn't a MacGuffin with sparkles, where the camera lingers because something important is happening, not because we paid for this drone shot and my god we're using it. Fantasy literature is messy. It's sprawling. It's rich with culture, philosophy, flawed heroes, complicated villains, an entire invented economies based on invisible power dynamics. Adaptating that is hard. Turning that into a show is hard. There is no if, buts, and maybes. It takes courage to say this might not be mainstream. This might be weird, but it matters. Instead, we keep getting the beige version of things we love. Sanded down, shrink-wrapped, homogenized products designed for consumption. A happy meal with $1 million budget. And honestly, I think we're all just tired. I'm tired of explaining to people, well, the book is actually good. Seriously, I know a lot of people who won't read certain books because of the adaptations. Like algorithmic parent defending their kid's embarrassing school play where they fell asleep when they were playing a rock. Hi, real story there. We're tired of fantasy adaptations that seem embarrassed by their own genre. Like they're just trying to cosplay Game of Thrones and get out before anyone brings up anything remotely deep. So goodbye, Wheel of Time. You were never really bad, just spectacularly empty. Ironically, you weren't the worst fantasy adaptation ever made, but you were the most forgettable. The fantasy equivalent of a lukewarm cup of coffee. Harmless, flavourless, with a weird skin on top, and somehow slightly disappointing even when you didn't have high hopes. Let this be a lesson, not just to Amazon, but to big studios, treating fantasy IPs like boxes to be checked, rather than living stories to be spoken and told. Next time, maybe hire people who actually like the books, or read the books, or at very least people who like the genre, who don't view everything as problematic. And as we sit here looking to the future, filled with even more adaptations, please not Discworld again, and let's be real, the Chronicles of Narnia, that's basically a Christian book, so God knows what they're going to do to that. Let's remember what the stakes are. Not just nostalgia, but trust. The trust of readers, the passion of fans, the beating heart of stories that deserve better than this. So here's hoping the Rings of Power follows close behind. And may the lights shelter us from Season 4 that never needed to happen. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and tell me what you think in the comments below. And remember to check out Patreon for exclusive content, as well as YouTube memberships that you'll never get anywhere else.